100%. Like, I want to learn Spanish. I want to learn French. Like, I want to be able to write a song in French and just diversify my songwriting skills. You know what I mean?
Mile High Minute, #1 blog in the universe. Today, we got a very special guest, one of the hottest R&B artists coming out of Colorado, Danae Simone. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. How are you?
Doing good. I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time. I've been begging and begging and begging. But no,
I'm not saying, I feel like I've been begging.
No, it's time. We finally, busy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Two moguls when it comes to the music industry in Colorado.
Yeah.
Originally from East Denver, or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Family from Chicago, but I'm from Denver, the east side. Whittier Elementary, East High School, Maury Middle School. Okay. Real East Denver, baby. I grew up in like a very popular gospel singing family out here. My uncle, Ron Willis, he sang with I can't even think of his name. Another popular gospel singer. Mm-hmm. And then my family, everyone in my family could sing. So I had to do something when it came down to like music or, just like instruments or something. So
like family's been involved with music and art and stuff
since
like that.
I was a little girl.
That's dope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you said Chicago, like your parents, or?
Yep, my parents. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad still lives in Chicago.
Okay.
And my mom is here. My grandmother is here. My grandmother migrated also from the South there and then to Denver. So
from the South to Chicago and then here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's dope. Do you go to Chicago often, or?
Every summer.
Every summer.
Summertime shy.
Yeah. You have a soft spot for like just Chicago culture.
Oh yeah.
The food out there is good. Yeah.
#1 food in America to me.
Yeah, no, the Italian sandwiches and
you can get a little bit of everything. Yeah. I love Chicago. Love Chicago food. Love Chicago culture. It's just like such a dope, amazing, high energy city. Right. I love it there. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's from Chicago, so I got a huge soft spot for like the food and everything. Mm-hmm. Like I have my teams, but like I'll cheer for like Cubs or the Bears.
Yeah,
if like
or Bears, but we'll cheer. Yeah. My parents are both Bears fans. So.
Okay.
You got to, even though they sorry as hell.
Yeah, they've been bad for a minute.
They sorry. The Cubs are okay. They kind of sorry too.
White Sox, Bulls.
Yeah.
Bulls, legendary. Obviously.
Of course, yeah. Windy City. Yeah, I love Chicago. If you have not been to Chicago, that's a must, especially in the summer.
Yeah, it gets a little cold in the winter.
But the winter's cold. The summertime shy is unbeatable.
Were your like grandparents from Chicago as well, or?
My dad's dad.
Yeah. From
Chicago.
Okay.
My dad's mom. Also from Chicago. My dad's mother passed away. My dad's dad ended up moving to Colorado as well. So like for the most part, everyone migrated here and then to like Dallas.
Okay. And then what was life like growing up for you on the east side?
Fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
I think I was sheltered a little bit, but it was definitely safe. I think back when I was growing up, there was like big community. We all knew each other. Mm-hmm. Everyone was cousins. Yeah. You know what I mean? Totally different. I have a 7-year-old and it's just like totally different from how I raised my kid. Like I remember being like 6, being able to walk home and lock the door and wait for my mom to get home from work. You know what I mean? Totally different now.
Let your kid do that, right?
Never.
Anywhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah. But yeah, it was good. It was just I remember just having more happy days as a kid more than anything, a lot more freedom, a lot of playing outside, a lot of the neighbors knowing each other, just like
without like technology as much as
yeah. You had to be able to knock on them doors, you know what I mean, and see if you walked for maybe 20 minutes and you knocked on that door and hoped somebody was home, and if they wasn't, you walked back home. Sorry.
No, you did.
But yeah, growing up on the East Side was cool. Like, you know, what the East Side is known for. I don't know if you do know that, but you know, yeah. And so, of course, the gangs and stuff was prevalent then, but I think that it was more so still like community protection. People knew who it was a safety thing. You know what I mean? Like we stood out the way. It was never an issue. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Just to touch on the gang stuff, I feel like a lot of people's, especially outside looking in, be just looking at the news or just assuming things about gangs. But what I feel like when they actually get to know, you know, people involved in that, they realize like they're good people too. Like they're humans just like us. It's just like the environment and I want to say the government, you know, influencing that and stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, I think that's a good point you brought up, like the protection side of it.
Yeah, you know, I know plenty of amazing, educated people who made certain choices when they were younger. You know what I mean? And we all make decisions, some poor decisions, some decisions that are in alignment with who we become as we grow. You know what I mean? So at this big age, I don't know too many people who are still gangbanging, you know what I mean? But when we were kids, you had your side. And, you know, I also lived in Park Hill for most of my life too. So it was just like, again, more of a community thing. Yeah. You knew who you knew. You claimed what you claimed. Either you were really in it or you just like were from Park Hill or the East Side or whatever. You know what I mean? So it wasn't even that.
Yeah, just because you're from somewhere doesn't mean you have to gangbang.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just,
I noticed that too, like a lot of times on interviewers, they've spent time in both neighborhoods. And that even goes to like West Denver, North Denver. Like, a lot of cousins, like you said. So it's interesting.
It's a small town. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're all pretty much like connected by two in some way, like whether wherever you're from, you know what I mean? So,
So growing up, what middle school and then what high school did you end up going to?
Yeah, I went to Maury Middle School right off of Colfax. And then I went to East High School.
Oh, yeah, you said
the best. Yeah. Hey, Lolo, hey. No. I went to East. Loved East. A lot of legendary people have come out of East High School. Right. Some of the greatest years of my life. Definitely a lot of like mentorship came out of East. Came out of being like an alumni at East. So I'm super grateful for my experience there.
Was there a specific reason you chose East over George or Manning or any other school for that matter?
I think neighborhood and friends. You know what I mean? Like
your friends went there.
Yeah, my family went to Manual, like most of like the adults, like my aunts and stuff like that. But I wasn't going to Manual. Yeah, I think Manual was like going through a transition anyway, where they weren't sure if they were closing or like I don't know, but no, I was going to East regardless.
East is a good school.
Yeah.
For like everything, I feel like. Yeah. Sports, academics, all that stuff.
Yeah. I have so many different friends and diversity and just, I've learned so much from being at that school.
Do you want to talk about what year you graduated?
I don't. I will never tell. I'm young and fun. Like, but yeah, it was in the early 2000s.
What about college? Did you go to college? If you did, what school?
I did. I went to Colorado Mesa University in Grand Junction.
Out west.
Yeah, that was
an experience. I bet.
That was a very interesting time. Yeah. Just very different. You really don't realize, like, being technically a city girl, you know what I mean? How some people are just really not connected to culture. Right. And like it really was some people's first time ever seeing like a Black person or, you know, they've seen it. Yeah, that was some weird, that was a wild experience. Yeah. But it was great. After I left Colorado Mesa, I moved to Atlanta for 2 years. And that was also a hell of a culture shock for me because I'm from Colorado, where we're like 3%.
Yeah.
And then I go to Atlanta where everybody's Black. So that was crazy. It was just, yeah.
So
early 20s was wild.
Did you go there for any specific reason, or why did you choose that school over other schools?
Mesa?
Yeah.
I wanted to go to an HBCU. There was conflict with like me going to Grambling and like their admissions, and it was just kind of like unorganized and stuff. And I just had to get into school at that point. And so my best friend ended up going to Mesa. And so it was like, I was like, okay, I'm not that far. I wasn't really ready to be like that far from my parents, you know?
Couple hours.
Yeah, 3 hours away from my parents. From my family, it still wasn't like scary, you know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people that were going up there. Mm-hmm. It was cool. It was honestly, I was in a great music program when I first started, and then I like transferred out into communications. That's what I decided I really wanted to do.
In Atlanta? Or were you still going to school?
No, so after I graduated from Mesa, I moved to Atlanta.
Did you get a bachelor's or okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then you moved out. Yeah. What was that? Just get a little deeper on like your experience out western Colorado, right? Is what?
Yeah.
What's that like? Like, because obviously it's probably a bunch of, I don't want to say farm people. Maybe I don't know. I've never really went there. So
it's Utah, so it's a bunch of Mormons. Yeah. Okay, so it's a bunch of Mormons. Yeah. It's a bunch of people. I remember we would pass this place called No Name, Colorado, and there were like quite a few people who were from No Name, Colorado. That's a real place.
No Name.
No Name, Colorado.
I don't know if I've heard of that.
That's a real place, and they were so afraid of like everyone and everything.
Just like the city life and stuff.
Yeah, they were just like drinking. Like it was still college, you know what I'm saying? So for the most part, we were wild and having fun, but it was different. It was just like a Mormon. It's like, which is good, I guess, but it was just like something I had never experienced before. And then there was obviously like a racial division. Yeah. You know, I didn't.
Was it worse, the racial division there than it was here, or vice versa?
100%, because it's more so like, I feel like living in Denver, Colorado, you get more like microaggressions. You know what I'm saying? Like racism in a joke. It's not like very obvious racism.
Like, almost like subconscious, like without like, knowing type thing.
Yeah, like get out type racism. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I voted for Obama.
Yeah.
Type racism. But in Grand Junction, it was very much like I remember we went to a desert party and there were these guys on their truck, like hillbillies with shotguns.
Trying like some flags on the back of their truck or something.
Yeah, and they were like kind of trying to start trouble, and then we have like people from Montbello with their guns. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was
that's like a old fashioned Wild West.
It was literally like, oh, this is supposed to be a showdown. Yeah. Like it was like a whole thing, and so it was that type of like weird, hillbilly back of the woods type of racism, which I've never experienced. I'm sure that's like normal in the South or some places, but it was weird as hell being from Colorado.
That does sound wild.
Yeah, it was wild.
I feel like you see that every once in a while, maybe if you go like to the outskirts of Denver, but like not too much. Like you really got to go like to other towns or cities.
What town? Isn't it? Oh, Golden.
Golden, yeah.
Used to be like a sundown town, or it's like technically still is, right?
Like when you go down, I think it's like 64th.
Yeah.
West. I heard someone was talking about that. One thing, like with the KKK or some shit.
Yeah, and like Colorado Springs, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They still have like they have a presence out there, but I think it's just a new day. Like we don't really, I wouldn't say we don't care, but it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like it's not Jim Crow days where we're like falling in line with I think anybody, you know what I'm saying? Any race.
I've never met like an open like KKK member or anything like
That's
that.
Wild.
Maybe behind the scenes, I don't know.
And that'd be a crazy interview. Would you do that?
I don't know. That's touchy.
That's scary.
Yeah, I probably, just because I'm involved with hip hop, I want to say no.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want. I think just having something like that alone would just cause some issues. But I don't know, maybe if like I could bring like someone who like maybe like a Black Panther and I don't know,
like a conversation,
a dialogue type, yeah, maybe I'd do something like that to where it's like more neutral.
You and Brother Jeff collaborate.
I'll be down, but I'm not comparing myself to
y'all gotta collaborate on that one because that's something I would love to see. Y'all both tackle a discussion with a Black Panther and a person of KKK.
That would be that'd be interesting. That'd be wild. He probably would be down to do that too.
He 100%.
Maybe I would. I feel like it'd be easier for him to do it because that's like more his lane, and
I think uncomfortable conversations are important.
True, but he could probably, I feel more right to kind of get on him a little more. Me would be like awkward as like
You're like, what? Yeah.
But no, maybe you should. You never know.
That'd be wild.
Okay, so you graduate from Mesa. What was that moment like when you graduated, and then what was that time period like when you decided to move to Atlanta and stuff like that?
I think it was just like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, I think when I graduated, I was like, when I left Mesa, I'm just like, I wanted to do music. You know what I'm saying? I knew I wanted to do music at that point. And I was like, I can't use this for music because it was like a communications degree.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really started tapping in, and I was like, I'm moving to Atlanta to try to get opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, that's when I started learning a little bit. I've always been like into songwriting more than I have been like into singing. I mean, I've been into singing, but I was writing poetry as like a 6-year-old. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so after college, I knew I didn't want to just like work. I wanted to do music, and I wanted to try to get into like some type of songwriting camp. So I moved to Atlanta, and it did not happen the way I thought. You gotta grind in Atlanta. I had like 3 jobs, but I was able to get into some like great rooms and meet. It's just a whole different lifestyle living there.
How so?
What I learned about the culture in Atlanta was that if you want to be in that like music hip hop scene, you definitely got to be out.
Yeah.
In the club.
Outside. Yeah.
And the club is like a 3-part series. It's like the 11 to 2, then the 2 to 4, then the 4 to 6.
Yeah.
Maybe in between then, that's when you're going to the studio, or you know what I mean? That's where you're, but whew.
A lot more work.
Way more work, and it was just like unhealthy. I feel like there's obviously a lot of people who wanted it a lot more than I did, because I'm like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to change as a person. You know what I mean? And it was not in a healthy way. So, but I did make a whole bunch of great relationships, great connections out there. I learned so much about like the music industry and really what it takes. And I think that like with everything I learned, I brought that back to Colorado, and then I was just like, I at least have to I gotta set the bar, you know what I mean, while I'm here. And so that was with like style, that was with performance. I really started taking performing way more serious, because it's like, you could be a dope artist, but if you just get on stage and just rock back and forth, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people still aren't gonna connect.
There's more
with you.
to it. It's an art in its own.
Yeah. And I just remember being in Atlanta, and there were maybe artists who weren't that great, but they were like doing the splits and, but, you know what I'm saying? Like, their ensemble looked great. They looked like superstars. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I was like, okay, cool. I have to like focus on my look, focus on branding myself as this like R&B girl. And
That's dope.
Yeah.
What led to you coming back to Colorado?
The lifestyle. I was partying so much. I'm not gonna lie. It was like
out of college,
and it was it was like a group of my friends. We all moved together, and so at first I was staying with another friend who was from Colorado, who had moved out there, and then my friends all got an apartment together, and so we all decided to live together. So it was like 6 girls in a 3-bedroom.
Oh yeah, that's wild.
It was wild, but we made it work for a long time.
You kind of have to at that age. You trying to split rags.
Everyone was grinding. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about everyone had like a couple of jobs, had a dream, was networking. It's an amazing place. You know what I mean? To network and to have fun. But the drinking and the partying and the lifestyle you start to see that you want, it was like, it was pulling me in, and I was like, I can't, this is not good. Yeah. So I feel like I needed to just like reset, and I moved back to Colorado. Of course, got a good job, because you're going to get a great job here that pay as well. You know what I mean? Started my career in tech, and then started being more serious about the music, connected with like amazing artists like Bailey and Kayla and Povey. And I started this thing called WCW, where it was just like a platform for women to like come together and sing.
That's dope.
Yeah, and we like did so many great things with that. And then I got pregnant.
So you moved back to Colorado and got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
What? So did you miss? You probably miss Colorado a little bit then.
I did. You know what?
And like, it's like what I like about here is like you get the city life, but you know, if you want to go on a hike or whatever, you get some nature, whatever, you know. It's like
it was a lot that I missed about Colorado. I'm not gonna lie. It was like the diversity too. It was
the melting pot. The
food, you know, and the food in Georgia is good, but it's not like,
can't get no real good Mexican food down there.
Heck no. You know what I mean? No Mexican food. Everything is greasy. This is a really healthy state, and like people were in shape, but it's like, nah, it's like a healthy, clean. Colorado's like a really healthy, clean place. And so I missed how like fresh things were, fresh the air was.
Because I remember a while back you you made a status about like the nightlife here.
We gotta talk about it.
Yeah, everyone was going on.
Oh yeah.
I'll let you finish your point.
600 comments.
Yeah, that was going. I was gonna post it, but I was a little late. I was like, oh, next time.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Yeah, but moved back to Colorado.
I think it was probably, I don't know, probably like the end of 2024.
Yeah.
You made a status. I think you were pushing the R&B karaoke night or something like that, maybe, or maybe that was later. Mm-hmm. But you pretty much.
Oh, it was like right after I started pushing it, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So, but pretty much what I got from it was that you were comparing the nightlife in Colorado to other places you've been, and just how you feel like we need to do a better job out here. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to get too. I want you to speak your mind on it, but that's what I got from it.
Yeah, so I made a Facebook status, and I was just saying that, like, as a creative, there are no spaces where I can find inspiration, basically. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I can't go to an art show on a Wednesday and feel inspired. I can't go to a restaurant and get some mac and cheese. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like what I'm looking for is just too big and too vibrant for this city. That's kind of essentially what I was saying.
And people took that and ran with it.
My God.
They were like, if you don't like Denver, get out.
I specifically said Colorado's for boring people. Yeah, I did say that. And it is a chill state. Mm-hmm. It was so funny to me. It's a lot more slow paced
than like New York or something like that.
People are going in on me talking about, you can go hiking, you can go kite. Like, is that not chill things to do? I was confused. Yeah. I'm like, y'all are making it seem like going on a hike is like lit.
Unless you get chased by like a mountain lion.
You know what I mean? Yeah, then you might get a little rush. Yeah. So it was just me.
I go out there to be peaceful.
Yeah, it's a chill. It's a place that people come to raise families. It's a place that if you're like career driven,
it's a business.
I will say, like, you know, my white friends have a different experience. This is like the white Atlanta for them. They love Colorado. They love the men. They do. And it's like, there is more nightlife and like fun, you know what I mean? Like in those spaces. But when it comes down to like
music and stuff.
Urban creative spaces, it's very limited. Like if you don't want to Especially if you're like, if you're on like a sobriety journey, you know what I mean? But you still want to have fun. That limits your choices even more. You know what I mean?
And the police always shutting down the clubs and stuff.
Clubs always getting shut down.
If you're doing a hip hop club, like you gotta walk on eggshells.
Events. It's always an issue with events, which can lead into even how like the car show became like a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like a cultural thing. It's like a fun thing. It's like,
and I feel like even that's why Denver hip hop hasn't really blown up yet, because the talent's been here.
Yes.
But I feel like there's certain things limiting that, you know, I don't know.
I feel like we don't do a good job as the people who are like involved in the hip hop community by being like, no, this is also culture here.
Right. Like,
you get what I'm saying? Like this is not dangerous. Yeah. And we should fight for that, because in other cities, I think that's why it's okay, because they fight for that, to be like, no, we're doing this, you know? And so that was my problem. Oh, people were just telling me that. They were telling me to get the hell out of here. I was like, I'm from here. Go back to where you came from, man. I'm like, I'm from here. They were going in on me. But yeah, and you know what? I'm going to give it to the curators in this city, especially in the urban scene, who have been doing a great job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we do have events. We have our events. We have like Munchies. We have Vibes in the Park. We have all of these really great events where we're all able to just like come together and listen to good music and, you know what I mean? Like, have the culture. But we have to be consistent and keep doing those things. And it does suck when we only have those things once a month. And then in between, there's nothing to do. You know what I mean? Or as soon as one bad thing happens, we're talking about it on Facebook for 7 days and now it's not happening again. You know what I mean? It's just like, we can do better. That's all I was saying.
I liked the event they was doing. It was almost like a mini Rolling Loud. They had like Trev, AP, 10, like that. Hunter X. They had like a whole bunch of different.
At the Civic Center?
Yeah, what was that called?
Oh, I think that was the Taste of the South.
That thing was dope. Are they still doing that? Did something happen with that last year?
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it was like a permanent issue.
Right. But that was dope though. That was like, it was like almost like a mini hip hop festival. I know there's more to it than that, but like from my perspective, that's what I seen.
Do you see what I mean though? Like why that's important? It's important to have those type of things. And I think that Eric is from Eric Harris is who threw that event. He just opened up a nightclub called Reflections. That's where I was throwing karaoke out for a while.
Yeah, I've been promoting that.
Yeah. But he is from Memphis, I believe, and so he like also saw what was kind of just lacking when it comes down to just like something big for the urban community. And it was dope. He was able to get the permits, and I think like they snatched it away.
Perfect example,
You get what I mean? Yeah. And then we try to go somewhere else, and then that became that became an issue, and everything was in place. And so it's just unfortunate, but that's why we need. I'm just gonna pivot into this. That's why I felt like getting on Brother Jeff's show and saying that we need to know what politicians and council people that we're voting for, because these things are important. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you're not voting or you don't know who you're voting for, we're never going to be able to like move forward with our community things if they don't understand that like this is a part of community culture too.
Yeah.
If we can have several different farmers markets or whatever type of events, then we can be able to throw Takes of the South or 5 Point Jazz, but you know, like we should be able to do that without a problem, you know? Right. So.
No, that's real.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get back into your music later then. Yeah. But since you brought it up, let's talk about that a little bit. So with the car show, again, I know we talked about off camera. I don't want to get too deep into that because I feel like you already kind of broke it down on that show. But if you could just briefly give your opinion on the car show and what you were just talking about.
I thought that the car show, from what I seen as a spectator, just like everybody else who probably wasn't there and just had everything to say, it looked dope. It was like there were kids there. It looked like there were people outside, like their neighbors outside with their dogs, just kind of like watching everything that went on. I felt like I heard that there was like food, and obviously the most important thing is that there were no issues. You know what I mean? There were no issues. There was no drama. I felt like it was an opportunity. There are a lot of people who like are into cars here. You know what I mean? In all communities. And doing tricks and all that stuff is a part of the car community culture. So like, whatever. City council people having an issue with like people stopping traffic to do a donut or whatever. Okay, cool. But I think for the event overall, people were showcasing their cars, their families were out there, they were all ages. So it seemed like a really beautiful event. And ultimately it was to celebrate someone's life, like someone's birthday. So I thought that was dope.
I guess I want your, like, the deeper root behind it as far as like your opinion on it, because I feel like it's easy to look at that and just be like, oh, that's dangerous. Someone could get hit by a car or whatever. But at the same time, like you said, it's a lot of people from different neighborhoods and stuff coming together and like just having fun. You know what I'm saying? And we don't, like, that's big in like places like the Bay Area or
100%.
You know, but out here it's like, I don't know, like shock people or something.
I think that people are cautious and like they're just cautious of things that they don't understand. You know what I mean? So I think that the people who were making so much noise about it and just like being so outraged about it is because they weren't there or they just don't understand what was happening. And I just want to take into consideration is that like all of the drama extended from like a 30-second clip. You know what I mean? The event was a 5-hour event. There was a 30-second clip of what happened like at the end of the event that people spiraled over, which takes away from like the fact that it was a successful event, the fact that people from all over in different neighborhoods came together and everything was cool. It was all love. And the fact that like we're just celebrating Black joy and we get to do that. You know what I mean? And so I can also understand like the dangers or whatever, but anything can be dangerous. We live in Colorado. Now, it can be dangerous to be in a movie theater. It can be dangerous to be in a school. It can be dangerous to be in a grocery store. Those are like real life scenarios that have happened in this state. You get what I mean? So just because there's an event, and also this same event, maybe not like this specific event, but car shows have been happening at Del Mar Park since the 90s. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the fake outrage just came from like the teenagers maybe being inappropriate. And like, I think it also comes from fear of people, of Black people in the community who are like, oh my God, like you doing that to the cops, someone could have gotten killed. You know what I mean? And although we understand that, that did not happen. You know what I mean? And there were people who were at the event who made sure that that was not going to happen. Like they worked with the cops to make sure like, hey, let us help you or help however we can help each other in this situation. If you're saying like, we got to clear it out, like tell us what we need to do and we'll do it. You know what I mean? So I think that the bigger picture is that we just need to stop being in so much fear for just existing. Like just because the cops want to show up to an event in riot gear. You get what I mean? It's like
I didn't see that part. Was that after like the, I guess, twerking and what Brother just thought was the protest part?
Right. And to Brother Jeff's point, he is saying like, no, and he is right. Like it was a protest. It was like, it's like, you know, fuck F y'all. F y'all. We here, we chilling. We're not doing anything wrong. So like, it was very like young and immature, but it was still a demonstration to be like, we're not doing anything wrong, you know? And so, it was like after the cops ended up getting out of their cars and everything, which again, by this time, majority of the people were already cleared out. They kind of lined up in their riot gear. And it's like, you don't need 40 to 50 cops to like get people to go home. You get what I mean? So that's just like a fear thing. And so even for Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky to make statements like, oh, we're going to do like a criminal investigation. Like, girl, bye. You know what I mean? We're going to do a criminal investigation. For her to make assumptions that just because she saw kids twerking on the police cars, that they were drinking and driving, like, lady, you own your own bar. How many people leave there drunk and get in their cars? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's not
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, let's not pick and choose when to be judgmental. You get what I mean? And so, and I think that if she was coming from a perspective like, okay, I want to understand what is happening here. Like, this is an actual event. She's an Royal Council person. She should know the history of Del Mar Park and like the type of events that happen there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that if she would have presented that type of like approach, then she could have left educated. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask too, like about that pod. Like, what was there any of it that you did appreciate about her going on there, or was it just kind of like you felt like she could have done a better job, or maybe Brother Jeff could have done a better job, or what was your opinion on that pod, I suppose?
I felt like she was just a little too comfortable. You know what I mean? I felt like she came in with her one-sided perception or perspective, and which is fine, but I think for her it was just like a moment that she could just like utilize the platform to get, you know what I mean, more engagement on her end for whatever reason. I think that it was cool to see them come together, two complete strangers who are on two separate sides of the spectrum, to come together and have a conversation. But I don't think that anything came out of the conversation, to be honest. I would ask her, like, well, what did you learn from this? And I don't think that she learned anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Based off of the conversation her and Brother Jeff had. Right. Now, if she watched the show with Ashley Coco and I, maybe she got something from that. I think, but I still don't, because I think that she was like, I saw some of her comments to that show and she was under the impression that we were calling her racist. And I don't think anyone said that. I think that she made insensitive comments, like saying, like, if I'm sitting here having a conversation with you and I'm like, you know, I'm trying to humanize you. You would be like, what the fuck? That was a little wild. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, that was wild. And it's just like, also her approach about culture. It's like, you want to, I say this a lot, and I really mean this when I say this. I'm like super passionate about this. I even say it at work. Is that like, I'm personally not looking for like a white savior. I have mentors and I have really great friends who are white, who hold me accountable and like help me grow and like help me grind and like use their privilege for good, but they're not trying to like coddle me and save me. You get what I mean? And
yeah, so, break that down a little more, because I was kind of confused. I want to hear what you want.
Yeah, no. So what I mean by that when I say like we're not looking for a white savior is specifically with that interview with Danielle Jurinsky, she immediately started to just like talk about all the people she's helped. And you know, I've helped this nonprofit and I've helped the Venezuelans and I've done you know what I mean? Yeah. And I even think that like some of her Black male supporters were also trying to be like, she's done so much for the community. But for me personally, it's like, I don't care what you've done for a community that you don't really respect or understand. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, it's a different conversation. What I would have appreciated from her, where I would have felt like there's not like saviorism going on, is if she would have been like, you know, I was confused. It was very upsetting to see people doing donuts in the street, to not even understand, to see these young Black teenagers who we advocate for twerking on cops when they, you know what I mean? Like when they could have been killed. Like, I want to understand like why that's appropriate. Yeah. That was not her approach. Her approach was more so like, we're criminals and like, why wasn't there a permit? Why is this type of thing? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just different. The tone was just very different, the undertone. And I feel like as a politician, she knows what it means to dog whistle. She knows what it means to like say the thing without saying the thing. And that's like racial undertones. You know what I mean? Yeah. There was nothing violent that happened. So if your issue is like the city and the city's resources, you could have used that platform to like educate and to say like, this is how much it costs to fix these roads when this type of stuff is done without a permit. Like do you get what I mean? Or
because that would break it down. That would, you understand. Yeah.
If we have 50 of our cops at one place, then we are leaving this area open for like something really bad to happen. And this happened because there was no permit. That's how you like,
you get through.
You have a seat at the table, you know what I'm saying? And you like say, this is how you can get a permit with the city of Aurora. This is what you can do to make sure I'm happy to be a resource to you. You know what I'm saying? Not like I've done all of this stuff for Black people or for Venezuelans or for Hispanic people. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think white people in general that are in Black spaces, hip hop, whatever that may be, what do you think we could do better to like not have that savior mentality, I guess? Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I know you kind of just said it, but like,
no. I think that's a good question. I think that our white peers and non-POC peers really need to learn the difference between like what it really means to be an ally and allyship versus frontliner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like as an ally, you can understand like, oh, I feel for you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know what to do in this situation, but I feel for you and I will make sure that I educate myself so that I'm not making those same mistakes. But as a frontliner, it's like you're in the field. Like, regardless of what people say about you, you're at these hip hop concerts. You're in these conversations. You know what I mean? You're making sure that you're educating yourself and that you are getting the right information to educate others. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that what I've had to learn about non-people of color is that there really is an ignorance there. You know what I mean? There really is.
There might be times like, because there's been me times where I've been like, oh, I've put on all these artists, blah, blah. And then that's where I kind of maybe connect with the mentality you were just talking about. So I'm trying to just like understand it.
And it's like, you did that. Did you do that for them or because you wanted to? Because this is what you want to be a part of. That's what you know what I mean? That's when it's the difference. It's like, I'm advocating for what I want to do. You know what I mean? I'm willing to put my neck out and to put these artists on because this is something that I believe in. And if that means that everybody that I believe in is African American, I'm still going to stick my neck out for them. You get what I mean? That's when it becomes like you're not trying to say. Yeah.
Okay.
You get what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
I just want to make sure because it's like it can be difficult to understand, and I think that when white people are trying to be intentional about their I think there are some white people who want to be intentional about allyship, and all they want to do is help, but sometimes that's not helpful. You know what I mean? It's like, use your privilege for how you know how, which is being like, Danielle Jurinsky, that was some bullshit. Excuse me. You know what I mean? Like, that was some BS. Like, we could have handled that. Why didn't you talk to the neighbors? Or, I don't know. But I think everyone, people have to learn that. Like, this is not, and to be honest, I think that there are so many people, it's a generational thing because there are other generations who are okay with that, who feel like accepted if non-POC people are doing something for them. But I think that there's also a generation who doesn't care because we've worked so hard and like we're also educated, and like sometimes when we get in these rooms with our peers who have more privilege and we see for ourselves that they're not smarter than us, they don't actually know what the hell they're doing.
There's some really dumb white people.
Do you get what I mean? But like, it's okay. We all know American privilege, you know what I mean? And it's in every community, but it's like, it's like, I think that we're just at a place right now where it's like, we're not going for that. I didn't ask you to do that. You get what I mean? Like somebody could say that to you, like, bro, I didn't ask you to put me on. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people probably did ask because they have to pay for this. You get what I mean? But it's like, that shouldn't be something that you throw in someone's face or you try to like get your point across. Like, I've helped all these people. You do it because this is what you love to do and you like seeing these artists grow from your platform. That's why you made it. You know what I mean? That's what I would say.
That's a good explanation. As far as the humanizing point, I don't think she was intentionally trying to be racist, but I feel like it subconsciously came off that way because and I seen your perspective on that. I'm gonna be real, I seen everyone's perspective in different ways watching both episodes, but I seen your perspective on that because I could see how hearing that will make you feel some type of way or feel like there's a racist undertone in that in a way, you know what I'm saying?
I think that what made it feel like a racial or like a prejudice undertone is that she had no accountability for the whole show. Do you get what I mean? It's like, even I feel like Brother Jeff, he explained what he meant about like protests and what he was saying and why it was important for him to say that. And she responded to his video, but still didn't take accountability for the narrative that she was also creating as a politician. Do you get what I'm saying? Especially after getting understanding on the show of what it was, on why it was important, there was still no accountability. So after having an hour and a half conversation, taking no accountability, placing blame, using words like there'll be a criminal investigation. Also, there's fact checks that like we've saw this woman be on platforms and lie about things that Aurora Police Department has had to clear up. You know what I mean? Yeah, for you to say that, for you to end that way, it's like, oh no. You get what I mean? Yeah. And that even with her saying that, she was reading the comments, just like I was reading the comments when I was on there and I had to keep clearing stuff up like, hold on, this one. She had every right, like every opportunity to be like, hold on, this is what I meant by that. Yeah. Because literally I was watching the podcast in live, real time. She was also reading the comments and she was, and there were so many negative comments as soon as she said that. Like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Yeah. That would have been a great opportunity to say, you know what, Brother Jeff, I can see how that could have been offensive. Like, let me like take a step back and like explain and be clear on what I'm saying when I say that. Yeah. She did not say that. And then she got off the platform and heckled the platform. Yeah. You get what I mean? Yeah. So it's hard to think that someone like that like genuinely cares for like all the people. Like you are an official, you're a public official for the city of Aurora. It's not just like one race or one people there. That's for the whole city of Aurora. Aurora is diverse. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. She really just, and some people need media training. Yeah. I'll give her this as far as that podcast goes. I feel like it's hard because they were going at her in the comments. Yeah. Everyone was. Mm-hmm. And I understand why. It's, everyone was sort of expecting her to at least try to understand where everyone at the show pretty much was coming from, why they were doing the show. But I could see like how maybe all the comments might have turned her up a little bit. Not even necessarily just you, but just like got a little riled. Totally. It could do it for all of us. Right, but I think you've been in plenty of viral moments, right? Like I've been in a viral moment where it's like, I'll fight all y'all at this time. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like, you have to know what you're actually standing on. It's like, when I said the controversial thing about Colorado being boring, I knew what I was talking. I knew what I was saying. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not about to go against. She knows what she's doing. You ain't lying. You see what I'm saying? It's like, she knows what she's saying. And at the end of the day, she was so all over the place. Maybe she didn't really know what we don't know. I feel like that's how we feel. We don't know. I feel like overall she knew what she was doing, getting on the platform and speaking her mind. But I feel like there were certain like racial undertones that you pointed out even just now that I didn't even pick. I picked up on the humanized one. Yeah. I didn't pick up on like the criminal investigation one. Like little stuff like that, I feel like was probably unintentional, but I could see how y'all picked it up and you're like, what? Yeah. I did pick up the last one. I seen that. And I feel like I made a very good point, not to stay on this topic, but you good. When Avalanche wins, when Broncos win, they be tearing downtown. I mean, swinging on the light poles, and you don't hear those type of undertones about people being criminally involved. It was a wild day. The city there's $1.3 million in damages. Those are the type of tones that you hear. You don't hear that, oh, we're going to place a criminal investigation on everyone that we've seen. You get what I mean?
There's a difference between the media about it and stuff like that.
That's all. So it's like,
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I just felt like, as a person who is a part of the community, and I know so many people who do support her restaurant, no, we're going to hold you accountable, because you do have people of color who do obviously you and support you, who you obviously like as well.
I feel like it's almost impossible to grow up in Aurora and not be like involved with
other races. Yeah. I'm not from Aurora, so I don't know.
Fair enough.
That's why I said, I'm like, I would never live in Aurora. Yeah. I don't like Aurora's rules. I've worked in Aurora. It's different.
Taste after what happened with Elijah McClain, rest in peace.
Elijah McClain, the Batman.
The Batman.
There's like, Aurora's scary.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's different.
It's different.
I can't speak too much because I've never lived in it.
Okay. I mean, Colorado's a beautiful place. We want to take care of this beautiful state. However, we cannot just be like, it's the same thing that they did to the Venezuelans. Like, there are plenty of people. Some people are criminals, some people are not. You get what I mean? We can't just...
Most are probably not.
Most are probably not. We can't just like see a certain amount of people acting up and then just like criminalize a whole community. Like, that's not fair.
That's true.
And then it puts a target on people's backs who are trying to do the right thing. The right way.
Yeah, like I don't even mind like the people window washing. Like I'll give them snacks, whatever.
Yeah,
because at least they're trying to work. It like you said, it's the small percentage of gang members that give bad look, and then they use that as an excuse to be like, oh, deport everyone, but like crazy.
We literally have someone in office, and not even to get into that, but who like uses fear to like for control.
Yeah, he especially during the campaign, that was wild.
You see what I'm saying? It was so many. He was saying so many things. It's the undertones, the black jobs. You know what I mean? That's when you start to like, if you really pay attention, and I do pay attention to this stuff, and I also just like pay attention to how people communicate as well.
Yeah.
Those are all, everything can be an undertone, whether someone's trying to flirt with you or whatever. But those are all undertones for division. When you start saying things like Chinese flu, black jobs, that you're trying to divide. You get what I'm saying? Divide and conquer. You want to make that seem normal so that people could be like, yeah, that is a black job. Or whatever. You know what I mean? Or that is a Mexican job. You get what I mean?
I've heard that too. Like, I'll be like Latin artists or Nigerian artists or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not trying to intentionally divide, but someone might take it that way,
Totally.
And I can see that.
That's why as an interviewer, I think it's important to ask, like, how do you identify? That's why the first thing I asked you, I'm like, I don't know. What do you identify as? What is your ethnicity?
I need to do what are they called? The DNA. I mean, I think I think I'm English and Irish.
Okay.
Because of my last name.
You low-key look Hispanic. I would have thought you were Hispanic. I would have never thought you were.
I went to school like Niver Creek and Norrismore Elementary, and it was like 60% Mexican. So
okay.
Like that's why I was on the food committee. Like a lot of my friends growing up were Mexican. I had some black homies, white homies too. Yeah. But like honestly, a lot of the people I grew up around were like Mexican. That's
literally how most of us are molded. That's crazy. That's why I asked. I really did not think. That's why I didn't know.
I don't know. I need to do a DNA test.
Seriously.
I don't.
Me being in tech though, I had to learn that though, is that like, even some black people don't identify as black. So I'm just always like, oh, what's your ethnicity? Because there are some Jamaicans who don't identify as black. There are some Puerto Ricans who may look black who do not identify as black. So it's just always good to ask,
That's a good point. And that's why at first I was like African American, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Like how Black people or African American people want to be.
You talk to my mama, she'd be like, "I'm not no African American."
Yeah, see, no. Like what? If you like, I'm like, damn. I thought.
No, it's a lot. It's like, a lot.
I said, "Ma'am." I've called ladies "ma'am," and they'll take that through on me. I'm like, I'm being respectful. I don't know. They take that.
Do we know these? Hey, look, we're in some hard times. Yeah. I remember having a conversation with someone who identified as they. Mm-hmm. My dumb ass. I didn't even know what to say. I'm like, so how are thou? You know what I mean? I really did not know how to articulate myself, and then I had to just like learn, okay, it's a lot, but I make sure I ask, what do you cool, why cool, like you don't have to be uncomfortable about who you are, you know what I mean, but it's a lot. I've just made it a habit. I know a lot of people haven't, but I've made it a habit as a professional to be like, you know, oh, what ethnicity are you? Or even if I think I know, you know? Yeah.
Going off that part, a lot of your music, I hear a lot of Afro beats.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Do you have, correct me if I'm wrong, like Nigerian or Jamaican like roots, or where is it?
Yeah, I have Nigerian roots. Okay. I do.
You did the song with Emmy. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why when someone said that in the comments, I'm like, you don't know me.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I do. My mom's stepdad is Nigerian. So I mean, and I feel like it's just in my blood. I need to do a DNA ancestry too. Yeah, but I know for a fact that I have like Nigerian in my family. I also have Cuban in my family, and then I also love music. You know what I'm saying? So like,
you like to mess around.
100%. Like I want to learn Spanish. I want to learn French. Like I want to be able to write a song in French and just diversify my songwriting skills. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like that makes me like a culture vulture. I just think that that like broadens my like, you know what I'm saying? As am I only supposed to like blues and hip hop? You know what I mean? Like in jazz and R&B? Like no, you know, I like pop. I like everything. I like rock and roll. Like, and I'm gonna put myself out there to experience everything. I try to write a swing song, ring ring. You know what I mean? Like, and that was like me trying to mix that with hip hop culture, what I know, and also just like a different taste of music, you know? So I feel like music is like obviously one of the most powerful tools ever. And like, that's the one thing, we just can't be putting stuff on mute. Like, let us be free at least with music. You know what I mean? Some people can't wear braids. Some people can't wear blonde hair. At least let me write the type of music I want to write, you know? Yeah.
When it comes to the culture vultures, that like, I definitely don't think you're that. But it's interesting that you say that, because it's like, I've heard that so many times.
Culture vultures?
Yeah, just because I'm involved with hip hop. Like,
considering like what? So like, would a culture vulture be? I guess that I don't know. So what would be a culture vulture?
From my research, in my opinion, I think it's someone who gets involved with another culture but doesn't provide any value. In my opinion, but everyone thinks differently. But like a vulture, like the bird vulture, is pretty much someone that eats off like dead carcasses. That was kind of graphic.
So like, is Drake a vulture culture? A culture vulture? Is Drake a culture vulture?
In some people's eyes, he may be, because he's, you know, from Canada or Jewish or whatever.
He got money. He's always had money.
Type, yeah. But I don't know, like, I mean, he's provided a lot of value too, because he's done a lot of features and work with them. But some people take it as like, oh, if you imitate or if you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. In my opinion, I think if you come in and you just like, I don't know, try to be that or wreck shit and don't provide value, then I think you do that.
I think Drake did his job. He's performative. He's an actor. He's talented. Although I'm K-Dot all the way on some real culture shit. Like I see why K-Dot was like, hey,
why they got into it.
You get what I mean? But at the end of the day, I still think that Drake did what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? And it was impactful, you know? And that's just the world that we live in. There are going to be real ones, and there are going to be people who are performative and they can still get by. You just have to decipher what side you want to be on. You know what I mean?
I feel like even like a lot of Asian cultures get the influence a lot of like America and stuff like that too. I don't know. I think it just...
But there were a lot of Asians who were part of the slave trade. So you get what I'm saying? Like who were around, I don't know if you saw Sinners, but they kind of like highlighted that. And I feel like people forget that a lot, that there were a lot of Asians in the South that were part of the slave trade.
I didn't even know that. I you know, I do know. I don't take this the wrong way, but like, I know like Muslims back in the day, like 1500s used to enslave like Christians too.
Yeah.
Like, so
there were Black people who had slaves.
Yeah. I still think I'm trying to not have an undertone with this, but I still think like obviously the slave trade that happened with America is worse in a lot of ways, just when you look at the numbers and stuff like that. But it's like when you like look back and look at history and look at how pretty much every race and color has like participated in that.
It's that. But
the American slave trade is obviously more.
It's because we were like built on hate.
Yeah, and it's more recent, so it's like it's felt differently, I suppose, than like older time periods and stuff.
100%. All of it impactful. American obviously impacts us different because we live in America.
Right, yeah.
But also, I think in real time, especially with Trump being in office, we were able to see how other countries feel about, like TikTok being such a powerful tool. Yeah. We're actually able to see in real time what people from other countries think about Americans. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like,
I still think it's hard though. It's like, you know, they probably talking crazy about us, but it's hard because we got like the American media bias. But it is nowadays. It's more open though. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but I think that. Sorry, we're having like a real conversation. I don't know if you're gonna use any of these clips, but no, I think that's what's so crazy, and that's why Trump was so hell bent on getting TikTok off. Yeah, it's because it was owned by Chinese.
Right.
It's illegal in China because of all of the information that's on there. How many people have access to it? Yeah.
I was pissed when they took it away because I just started monetizing.
Oh, see, but they took it away for that little second, and then I think that America made it some type of negotiation. It was like a money thing, right? You know what I mean?
Tariff, whatever.
But yeah, we're just built off of hate and blood in this country, and then you know we don't realize until we get our age and we're having these conversations, and we just see how different we really are culturally. Like we are the same, but it's just like. Our upbringing is so different and just what we have to pay attention to. Yeah, you know? Right. And so, that's why I stand on the fact that, sometimes it really is pure ignorance when it comes down to different cultures. Like, they really don't know. Right, they really don't get it. There are some things that I cannot relate to as well. I think that one of Jurinsky's minions in the comments had said something to me like, you are talking about women empowerment, but you're bringing another woman down. You know what I mean? And I'm like...
I wanted to ask you about that too.
Yeah. Although I do respect... I wouldn't consider myself a girl's girl because I respect just people who are on their shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to hold everybody accountable, including myself.
Yeah.
However, as a Black woman in America, with a career... we do not share the same struggles. Like every woman does not share the same struggles. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm a mom and I've had a totally complete different experience in a hospital having a baby than some of my white peers that we have conversations about. You know what I mean? Like I work in tech and my career is a little bit different. What I can ask for versus what they want, totally different. Yeah. You get what I mean? But we share the same fight when it comes down to like you just being equally respected and that we're smart and that we deserve to be heard. Right. However,
equal pay is pretty.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But we don't share the same struggle, and I stand on that. We don't, and I don't share the same struggle as some Latin women. I don't share that. You get what I mean? Like we as people. So I totally feel like I could still be a woman who believes in women empowerment, who believes in women coming together, because I really do believe in that. But I also am not oblivious to the fact that we don't share the same thing. Yeah. There are some things that my Muslim homegirls may be experiencing that I would not understand because I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Do you think you and Danielle could come together and have a conversation? Because I feel like that'd be powerful. I feel like y'all, if y'all sat down, I feel like y'all could come to a middle ground, understanding and respect each other.
I'm not really interested in having a conversation with her, but I think that if she would be if she would be open to learning, I would be open to having a conversation with her. Because Danielle is like a public figure, a lot of her stuff is Googleable.
Right. Yeah, she's been on like all kind like national news.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a lot that I have learned about her and her career. And I can't say that I'm personally interested in getting to know her as a person, but if there's like an understanding that we should have that would make people feel better, I'm open to that because I'm a good person. But other than that, it's like I'm not going to JJ's regardless. You know, that's her business.
Right.
So
I'm gonna keep it real. I think like y'all are definitely different, but I feel like y'all have a lot of similarities too, low key.
Based off of the podcast?
But just like the energy y'all bring. Like y'all are both very outspoken. I'll say. I think that's like the main thing I'm kind of putting together. I'm like,
and that's a powerful and a beautiful thing to have as a woman, because there are a lot of women who feel like it's not ladylike to be outspoken. There are a lot of women who feel like it's inappropriate and can't do it. So shout out to her for that. That's important. We definitely need powerful leaders, but we need leaders who are educated and also know what the heck they're talking about. You know what I mean?
I'm laughing because like the way you came out with that just reminded me of like when Trump and Hillary Clinton were going at each other in like 2016, and they were both asked to like say one nice thing about That's what you just reminded me.
I will always say one nice thing about a person. I will always try to find the good in somebody.
Yeah.
For sure.
I respect. Okay. So I noticed you have a lot of like love singles, but also obviously the latest one was Rain Rain. You want to break down that single a little bit, and then also just, you know, your music in general, like mostly focus on love. And one of my favorite songs is the Toxic Love song. Yeah. You just want to break them down a little bit.
Yeah. So Ring Ring was actually just like a challenge for me. Mike Coates, he's my producer. It's just different. Mike Coates is so incredible. He's so very smart. He's an amazing producer. And he gave me this beat. And at first I was like,
little uppity beat.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, it's tight, but why me? Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's like, just try, you know? And so
that's good. He did that.
Yeah, amazing. And so, I went to the studio and I'm just like, I actually went with like a friend. I had got like, I was a part of this banquet and I got auctioned for the day. And so I was like, oh, do you want to come to the studio with me? I know. Isn't that kind of wild? Anyway, I did. It was like for a fundraiser for a nonprofit. So whatever. Yeah. So I was like, cool, do you want to come with me to create for a day? And so he played the beat and I had already came up with the break bread, amen. I know. Like it was just like amen. That was just like in my head, like amen. And so I'm like, I want to write a song about getting tricked on. That's a good summer thing. Everybody like getting tricked on, whether you're a guy or a girl. You know what I mean? Like, and so then, he changed the beat and he put those horns at the beginning. And immediately I just started thinking of just like the ladies who used to have like the poodles on their dresses and they used to be swing dancing. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I started thinking about Hairspray. Have you ever watched Hairspray?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. See, you have to be an R&B. You need to do some R&B stuff too. Anyway, Hairspray is a musical. It's super fire. So you have to watch it one day. But I just started writing and he's like, bro, this is tight. I'm like, is it? He was like, it's like a Bruno Mars. Like, it's like you did cocaine or something. I'm like,
I can see the Bruno Mars.
You know what I mean? It's like influenced by that. Yeah. So that's how that really came about. It was just like me trying to challenge myself as a writer, because typically how I write is really based off of my experience. I will be sad or upset at something. I'll find a beat on YouTube. Yeah. I'll say, can you remake this beat? And then I'll go to the studio and start singing about my feelings. So it was like the first time where I just had to be like, not the first time, but for myself, where I had to be intentional about like where I wanted the song to go and how I wanted to tell the story. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see how it can fit with a certain audience. I think people like it for sure. Especially nowadays. It didn't sound like City Girls, but I feel like it was kind of similar as far as like the topic.
The tone. Yep. Yeah. And I think that the video is really going to bring that tone out too. Because in the video, I have like different personalities. I'm a Gemini, so I really wanted to bring out my different personalities. So I have like a really sexy smart girl going to the bank. I have a sexy stripper girl in the video. You get what I mean? And so those are all just different women and how they get money and how they get money with guys.
Yeah, I can see how I can relate. I can see how I can relate.
Yep.
Okay. And then, do you have an album? Or because it was a lot of singles. Have you dropped an album yet?
I'm so intimidated by dropping an album. People keep asking me. I love dropping singles, but we have so much music just in the vault that Mike is like, I think we should drop an album or an EP. Yeah. I'm thinking more EP just because I'm so scared to drop an album, but coming soon.
I see your perspective on that because, singles do good. Like you want to get people to lock in, you know what I'm saying?
To learn the song,
It's easier to catch on. And then sometimes the whole album's like, well, it's a lot of music to take in. But in my opinion, I feel like you have a great foundation set and you drop a lot of singles. So I think, a little mixtape, little EP, album, something like that would be dope. Yeah.
We gonna see.
Okay.
Be on the lookout.
Okay. How do you feel about men? Because I ain't gonna lie, like I see some of the statuses and obviously like the tone of the music. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I see what she's saying. Also, just you being, pretty female, like I'm sure you get a lot of men like, throwing themselves at you. So how do you deal with that?
How do I feel about men?
Yeah, in general.
I love men. Yeah. It's like, no, I think that, I have so many different relationships. I've obviously been in relationships, situationships, you know what I mean? Like all the things. I see what my homegirls go through. I see what the homeboys go through. Yeah. I am a person who does believe in duality. I do believe that two things can be true at once. You could be a person who wants to be in love, and you could also be a person who wants to be free and wants to be outside. You know what I mean? Like I do think that, but my music is not to bash men. I think I hold men accountable.
I think you're outspoken is what I say.
I say what I feel about the fellas, but yeah, I'm still a lover girl. Like I still am a girl who I'm a girl who wants to be in love, who I might write a song about something else and be laying next to my man and be happy. You never know, but
it's entertainment.
I think that the one thing that we can all relate to, I feel like, is relationships, especially right now, whether it be like a toxic situation, whether it be someone you miss. That's like the one thing that we all are like, I felt that I've been there. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I write so much music about love and relationships, because whether it's like something you're experiencing now or before, it's just relevant, So that's my niche. I try to write more positive music too now. Like, I'm really into like manifesting and just good energy and alignment, and I haven't really put those songs out yet, but I get the most
juicy
traction.
Ones are the ones that get the traction.
Yeah, it's like songs where people can have a conversation. You know what's so crazy, Britton, is that you say you like toxic love. Majority of the people who like toxic love is men. And I'm like, I wonder why y'all can relate to that so much. You know what I mean? When I dropped that song, it was literally men who were like, this song is so fire.
Yeah.
I bet.
I think it is. I think it's just the real behind it. Like you can feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, let me look at some of the other singles. I was listening to all of them. I like The Crown.
Oh, thank you.
I seen High that you were featured on with Ameezy AP. I like that one. Yeah. Just because it was, I think it embodied like just Denver culture, like with marijuana
smoking.
And stuff. Yeah. Just see some other ones. I like the one you did with Tana. He's gonna look. I listen to a lot of Tana. Like especially when I'm in the gym. But like, I ain't gonna lie, I only like your part with that song. This part, I could see how he was trying to slow it down a little bit, but I was like, he's good on like more upbeat hip hop beats.
Yeah, that was a challenge for Tana. He wanted an R&B song. That was actually, you were there that night.
Was it
that day
with Flame when I interviewed Flame?
Yes,
okay.
That's when I recorded that song. That's why I was there. Whew, that was a challenge. That was a challenge for me, but shout out to Tana.
I respect you. No, I love his music in general, but like I could tell that he wanted to try something different.
You see what I'm saying? How different doesn't always work.
Right.
Yeah, but we always laugh at that part with Tana. His verse on that, it was so funny. Yeah.
And then also the Want Me, I think you dropped a video for that not like within last year or two.
Yeah,
right?
I actually dropped that. It's so crazy. I dropped that in 2020 and then the pandemic happened.
Okay, yeah.
And then I didn't do anything. And then I was like, we should just make a fun. We're in a social media era. I just wanted to put out some content, so we made a video for it last year.
That was dope.
Yeah.
It was cool that you brought it back, because I feel like most artists would be like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, you can always make videos. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes it takes years for songs to blow. When Dolce's one song blew, I'm like, I heard that like in 2015.
Yes.
But
that's fun.
It happens like that.
Okay. And then since we're talking about toxic, this is extreme levels of toxic, but obviously the Cassie and Diddy trials going on right now.
Yeah.
Do you have any opinions on that?
I think that I would say, since I'm just like a realist and I'm an outspoken person, I think that trauma is real. I think that grooming is also real. I think that at a young age, I can say as a woman, I've made poor decisions because I've liked someone, and they broke as hell. So I could not imagine being 17 and being in this light where I'm dating or being around powerful people. You know what I mean? And I also have this dream that I want so much, and I feel like this is about to happen. I think toxic love is a real thing. And just like I wrote in my song, it feels good until it doesn't. It's like, no, this is not what we discussed. This is not what I thought this was going to be. And then next thing you know, you're just like in this situation for years that you can't get out of. You know what I mean? So I obviously don't know Diddy. I obviously don't know Cassie. I think that all of the allegations are very sad. On both ends, because it's a sickness. You know what I'm saying? On both ends, it's a sickness for her to think that
she had to deal with that.
Have to tolerate that, and like in order to have that or fame or money or whatever you were getting from that situation. But it's also a sickness for Diddy to use his power for evil, you know? And but yeah, I prayers to them, and I just, you know, I'm happy for Cassie. I hope that she has a family, she has kids, and I hope that she's able to like move on from this trauma. It seems like a lot of trauma, and you know, we just have to be accountable. Money is the root of all evil. It's what I think that we're seeing out of this. And like, but like you said, nobody's bigger than the programs.
So. It's
a lot. That'd be a whole nother hour.
Yeah. I don't understand like how someone could get so much money and power, and like what it made me realize, like no matter how much power and money you got, like you still have to be a good person at the end of the day. Like you can't just be. And I don't even understand how you could get into that mindset of feeling like you could just take advantage of people and do stuff like that.
I think after doing it for so long, you're like, oh shit, I really can't
get away with it.
You get what I mean? And so we don't even know the root, like who it started with.
Right.
We just know this one person.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Shout out to Mile High Minute. I love Mile High Minute.
I appreciate it. We love Danae Simone. Where can they find you at on social media, Instagram, all that?
You can find me at Danae Simone, DANAE SIMONE on all social media platforms.
Okay. Make sure y'all go follow Danae on everything, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that. Links in the description of this interview. Hit that like button. Comment down below your favorite part of this interview. your favorite Danae Simone song. Hit the subscribe button, hit that bell button to stay notified when all latest news drop. Mile High Mini, #1 blog in the universe. We appreciate you.